Hey everybody, welcome to the MotoAlliance Podcast. I'm Peter Kapsner, and I'm delighted to be joined by yet another cool person in the off-road community, because the off-road community is filled with freaking cool people. And right now we have Bert McEwen with us. You might know him better by the company that has really made an impact in the off-road industry these last several years in the storage needs that so many machines have, JEMCO cargo boxes. Hey Bert, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Peter, thanks for having me. It's great to be with you here this evening and talk about one of my favorite subjects, off-roading.
Yeah, and you've been part of the community, Bert, in the off-road world for a very long period of time. And I think maybe before we get into the specifics of JEMCO and the cargo boxes, the fun of the community and all of that, we probably should go ahead and reveal that JEMCO and MotoAlliance have entered into a strategic partnership. MotoAlliance has actually purchased JEMCO products. You came to me, I don't know, what was it, about 6 weeks ago or so, and we started having a conversation and just saw some real synergy. And I'll tell you what, Bert, everywhere that I went after you contacted me and talked to dealers and riders and different communities in the social forums, it seems like everybody loves your JEMCO box because where other people have focused on only lowest price, sometimes and oftentimes sacrificing quality to get there, you've really maintained the idea that people need legitimate storage and not a bunch of crappy stuff out there.
Well, actually, Peter, I think we've known each other for about 4.5 years now, and we've talked back and forth about different projects, and I seen this as an opportunity to take JEMCO to an all new level by strategically aligning ourselves with MotoAlliance and what both parties bring to the table. And I see nothing but, bigger and better things moving forward. Where this all got started with the JEMCO cargo boxes was back in 2016. I bought my first Razor. I'd been out of the off-road community for a while. And back when I was in it prior to, I was in the, everybody had quads. And then when I got back into the off-road community, the side-by-side was, far superior in my mind to quads in, safety. And, we have small children and stuff like that. So we went to the side-by-side route. And when I was looking for storage, I couldn't find anything I was happy with. I've got a shed back home with that's full of, all the boxes that I tried and didn't like for various reasons. And I thought, you know what? I got a background in rotomolding. Why don't you just build one? And,
Bert, if I had a nickel for the ingenuity of the off-road community over 18 years of how often people have said, you know what? I know XYZ. Why don't I just build it? I can't even tell you how many cool things have come out of just people like you that know what you're doing in the off-road community. You just happen to be able to scale it up, right? You started kind of just designing something for a Razor that desperately needed some cargo opportunities.
yeah, I basically went in with, three basic criterias, right? One was functionality. It had to, maximize the cargo space available in the machine. And it had to have ease of use. I'm not a guy that likes to, get caught up in assembly and tools and stuff like that. I want it, down and simple, easy. So that was, fundamental number two. And, the third one was I wanted to look like it's supposed to be there. I don't want to look like it's an afterthought. I wanted to aesthetically complement the machine, the looks of the machine, right?
Well, for sure. I mean, you think about how much you spend on a side-by-side, right? And you get excited to get this beautiful new machine, as you should. And then there's sort of this eyesore sticking in the bed of the machine, maybe just some old big rectangular box that it might be functional and hold what you need it to hold. But it really does take away from all of the effort that went into designing a cool looking machine. Nobody wants to be out there having just the cool factor compromised because they got to carry a chainsaw around it in a stupid little box.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of my customers that, purchased one of the boxes early on, he referred to, now I don't look like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Because you design it to be contoured right to the lines of the bed, and so it really actually looks like coming out of the factory, that box was just molded into it. I mean, that was your general idea, right?
That's correct. And actually, it's been mistaken for an actual part of the machine on a number of occasions where, we've had them on display in units in the showroom. And, customers have purchased the machine thinking that the box was part of the machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and we started doing some of our research again about your box when you had reached out to talk about this partnership. And I honestly didn't know really much about what the storage options were out there. I certainly didn't know the difference between quarts and liters and I don't know, pints or I don't know my units of measurement, but I saw that it just had some kind of measurement that I hadn't seen in many of the other boxes out there. And as I started trying to Google how do you convert quarts and pints and liters and all sort of stuff, it became really clear that you weren't messing around. I mean, it's funny watching some of the videos that you've so well produced with people like Dirt Tracks and others that you just keep putting stuff in there and it doesn't run out of room like some of the other ones.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've gotten, a lot of recognition from Dirt Tracks, Sturdy Rooster, and the capacity of our cargo storage solutions. And that was basically the primary focus, was to maximize every inch of cargo space available. And the other thing I found on the market when I got into this was that, it was the one size fits all, the generic box, right? So basically, it fits a lot of machines, but it doesn't fit any machine well, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's where we kind of I took it to a different level where, if I'm designing for, this particular machine, then it's going to be for that particular machine and it's going to be a custom fit. And, it's not going to be interchangeable, but you're going to get the maximum satisfaction for the machine you're riding.
Yeah, and I'll say this again. I mean, you've only really designed them thus far for razors, which makes sense. I mean, the razors are still, from a volume standpoint, the most popular machine out there. But there certainly have been some inroads made by the CF Motos and the Kawasaki KRXs, the Can-Am X3s. There's so many of these sport machines that have the same kind of need that the Razor has for some cargo space. So we're not here to be a shill for our own products and promote and all that kind of stuff. We know you and we have a whole line of products planned that will cover the CF Moto and the X3 and KRX. That's all coming to the table over the next 6, 9, 12 months. But I think one of the exciting things is you're located in Canada, right? You're up in the Edmonton area. Is that right?
Yeah. We're Western Canada. Beautiful place. Love it. Lots of places to ride up there. Got a great riding community. And it's just great fun to get out on the trails with. And, the riding community overall is such a great place to be. To be quite honest with you, Peter, I could take a map of North America and throw a dart at it. And wherever that dart lands, I could pick up the phone and go riding with someone. That's just how welcoming the riding community has been, North American wide.
Yeah, it's when I talk at the top of these podcasts that it's a freaking cool community. I half of my life, or not half, or maybe a third of my life is also spent doing some university teaching, and so I spend time teaching different kinds of courses at university. And Bert, it drives me wild. The sort of the puffed up arrogance that is so often present in the university community, compared to, like, if I threw a dart at the board and it hit a local university, I probably wouldn't want to go out there and hang out very much. But you're telling me I can throw a dart at the board and it's going to be an off-road event or a bunch of guys and women and families hanging out and doing what the off-road world does. Man, I would do that all day long. Genuinely, some of the nicest, kindest, down-to-earth, intelligent, fun people that I know. And so I envy your life that you can throw a dart at a map, and not just in Canada. I mean, you know your people in the United States too, and
Sure.
and all over the place. So do you have favorite places you like? Okay, let me ask it this way. If you could ride for a week anywhere in Canada and ride for a week anywhere in the United States, where would you go, and which one of those places would win out over the other?
Well, in Canada, it would be the interior of British Columbia.
Okay. And I don't know my Canada very well, so help me out. British Columbia is more West Coast, right?
Yeah, it's straight north of Washington.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Washington State. So the interior for, just the trails, the scenery, the I've made a lot of connections out there for riders. Actually, planning on riding later in the month down there with some people that I met through JEMCO, fellow riders. That's the thing I love about, what I'm involved in here is, I get to be part of something I'm passionate about, the riding and the riding community. For the United States, that's a real toss-up. There's so many places. I'd love to ride the Mohawk. There's places in, the Carolinas, Virginia. I've made some really, really good friends out there. Chris Strong over at Coal Country Tours, just a absolute great guy. He offered me to come down and, ride and stuff like that. So the U.S., that's a real tough one. There's so many places down there to choose from.
Yeah, no, there for sure is, and every sort of region has its own little flavor. You go to the South, it's a very different riding experience than it might be in the Midwest, and of course in the dunes or the East Coast as well, West Coast. It just there's endless opportunities. I think most people, if they could, say they wish if somebody would pay them to spend about 2 years and all they got to do is sort of ride everywhere. It's that would be, well, and it's actually part of what your life is going to be here coming up, Bert. I mean, I know part of our strategic alliance is Moto has a lot of the supply chain stuff figured out and some really large infrastructures to be able to move product and the operations and all of that. But you bring a design expertise in this area that we don't have. And so you told me it's going to feel a little bit like retirement, even though you're working all the time. You're just going to be able to get up and design cool stuff for the machines.
Well, actually, and this conversation's come up a few times, and people talk about, well, you should be thinking about retirement. I'm like, what is retirement? To me, retirement is doing something you enjoy doing or you love doing, and that's what I'm doing. So
yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, we're real excited. I mean, we have a minimum of a 4-year runway ahead of us just based on our agreements and what we're going to do. But I have a suspicion it's going to turn into 40 years instead of 4. And there'll be more. You and I will chat about all kinds of stuff. And moving forward, I know we got a lot of community contacts we'll want to talk about things with. But before I let you run, so, you and I were in these business negotiations about acquisitions and stuff, and most of the time we're putting about 99% of our cards on the table. You and I trust each other. We talked often about being and operating in good faith and handshake deals and avoiding all the legal crap that goes with it. Let's just be good people, right? But I'm guessing, Bert, you have 1% of something you've never told me about in terms of an idea for a machine that you want to bring to the table. So do you want to reveal that 1% here on this podcast?
Well, I got a new one this afternoon. So
you did. You're pinging me about the new one this afternoon. Something about a PXP Extreme version, or tell me. You don't have to tell me now, but I'd be curious.
Well, it's for the Pro R aspirated engine.
That's right, the new Pro R stuff that's coming out. Yep.
Yeah. Actually, I've gotten probably 3 or 4 calls this afternoon. Inquiries about the PXP Extreme and the fitment, and so of course I'm talking to the riders, and I'm like, you know what? So I got 3 riders doing due diligence to get me those changeovers, and I think I can adapt the current tooling to accommodate the Pro R aspirated engine. So
that's pretty good 1%, Bert. But I know how your engineering mind works. You're going to have a new 1% tomorrow. So I always new ideas to work with for sure. So it's been a great few weeks getting to know each other a lot better. Like you said, we've known each other for the better part of 4 years in a variety of ways. But to have all this time together and be meeting mutual friends in the off-road community and getting to know one another that way, it's a blast. We're gonna have a good time with everybody that rides all the time.
Oh, for sure. And, it's really exciting to, I look at it, as, being able to bring JEMCO to the next level where we can, expand into other brands and, fulfill the requests of, other riders other than, the players community, right?
Yeah, indeed. I can't wait. I know that our next box that's coming out is the CF Moto line, and it'll be for the Z-Force, covering all of those beds. But you've got concepts for the X3. We've talked about the KRX, the General. There's going to be stuff coming out pretty quick at this point. So it's going to be a fun runway. We'll catch up on the podcast here regularly, Bert. But just been a real pleasure these last few weeks, and looking forward to the future with you together.
I am as well. It's it's been a blast. I feel like I'm just right at home here in my element. With the manufacturing part of the process and the design, and working with the team over at MotoAlliance, and just a great synergy in my mind.
Yeah, indeed. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. This has been the MotoAlliance Podcast. And as you well know, because you're part of the freaking cool people, it's a great community we're part of. We'll catch you again next time.